All right, fellas, I'm here with Paul Baxter, who has been one of the best leaders that we have ever had and was a phenomenal player. Won close to 100 games in his 4 years while he was here. And just going to sit and talk with him about the kind of leader he was and the things that he saw while he was here. What's up, Paul?
What's up, Coach?
Hey, so, Paul, we'll keep it pretty loose. I'll start with this question, I think, most of the time. What are two or three key words that you think define, Sam Houston basketball culture and what has made us really good, before you were here, while you were here, playing for us?
I think for me, it's the team family belief. And it's just like kind of real cliche. We broke it down every huddle with that. I think we made that like around my freshman year or something. But team, because it's like you have to realize that all these guys are on your team. No one's against you. And just that going shallow on all these. But family, of course, not only are they your teammates, they're your family on and off the court. Like you got to be there for them. And part of being there for them is believing in them, right? Whenever they're up, whenever they're down, just being their biggest fan, right? Or their biggest critic if that's what they need.
For sure. What do when you were a new guy, and like when you were a freshman when you got here, what were the hardest things for you to get adjusted to? Let's say as a freshman when you got here.
For me, I guess on and off the court really was time management. Just like you think of it like a bank account or a budget, and you only got so much a day, and it's like you have these things that you want to do, things that you need to be doing or need to be working on doing whatever. But just time management, figuring out what to do with my time and making the most of my time, making my time work for me.
It's certainly hard to do once you all do it on your own, for sure. Sure. What helped you once you got better at doing that? What were some of the strategies or things that helped you make that adjustment to do better as you went on in years?
As I got older, I went on throughout Sam Houston. I don't feel like I got older, but I got a little more mature. But time management, probably like prioritizing things. Once I got my priorities not straight, but of course I had incentives. But once I knew what mattered and why it mattered, and that whole deal, I had wasn't as hard for me to figure out what I need to be doing with my time.
What were the biggest distractions you thought that kept you from having those priorities in order that you had to get rid of or push to the side or push lower on the priority scale?
I mean, shoot, girls, freaking the scene, I guess. Not Sam Houston State doesn't have much of a scene, so I'm gonna let everybody know that right now. It's not a great scene, so you're not missing anything. But kind of like FOMA, you always want to be out and be with your teammates if they're going out, or be with your friends outside of your teammates if they're going out and stuff. And it's just whenever you're an athlete, that's all good and fun. It's part of the college life, but you have to keep it in mind what's important and what you're there to do. Same with girls. Same with like schoolwork got in the way a lot.
That damn schoolwork.
Yeah, I know, man. They need to get rid of that stuff.
Hey, you got a business degree, Paul. You got a business degree.
I don't know how, but
that's because me and Coach were on your butt. That's why.
Oh yeah, I do know how. Yeah, y'all two for sure stayed on me. But
so when you came in, you've been a winner kind of all your life. AAU, you guys won. High school, you guys won. Who, when you got here, you're obviously a winner, but who helped you kind of figure out the culture and what it took day to day? Were there some other guys that were good leaders and some things that they told you or showed you when you got here to help you adjust?
Yeah. And that's one thing I really want to talk about is who is the leader? Like, who on the team? Is there one leader? Is there several leaders? And I think that was the important thing, that some guys who probably weren't the most vocal leaders, or probably didn't come off to the coaching staff as leaders, even though y'all probably know that. Y'all know everybody's saying the right thing at some point to the right when the person needs to hear it. But just like everybody, I was pretty green when I got to Sam Houston, if you'll say. I was kind of didn't have my own opinion. So if somebody said something, I'm trying to listen to it, especially if they're an older dude, especially if they're, and that helped me and hurt me at times. But shoot, I can name a bunch of them. Before I even got there, when I came on my visit, I got to play with Crow.
Yeah.
And just the toughness factor, like that's instilled. That was bright and early. It was Crow, and then also on my visit, KT and Darius were going at it, right? And these are all these things are like seem like dudes on his visit and stuff, and don't really matter too much. But I was looking at that, and I'm like, there's something to this. Like this is good, right? Pickup was where everybody was going at it. We were hooping. Dudes are talking mess to each other, and after we play pickup and after we do all the stuff for the visit and whatever, the same dudes are hanging out afterwards, right? And then fast forward, shoot, to not even that far. We'll go to Eric. My man Eric E was there my freshman year. That was the hardest working dude I ever seen. Like he was the first. He showed me like what it takes. He used to bust everybody's ass in pickup, right? Whenever we were playing, he bust everybody's ass for real. And you wonder why, and he's like, you don't really see it. You don't see the work he's putting in. He's up in the gym early, and if he's in there with the gun out, he's putting up 1,000 plus for sure. All types of shots. And then fast forward, right? So that again, that toughness factor, the push through, he's there at 6 a.m, regardless of what we did last night. He's up in his group. He has his priorities in order. He knows what he wants to do. But fast forward past that, these are just little things that kind of stuck out to me looking back on it. To the year Kahim and Jabari came in.
Yeah.
And at first it was like that was the year we were the best, right? That was the most games we won in all my 4 years. But I remember at first there was a lot of animosity. Like there was like it kind of shook everything up, and I think that was one of the best things that happened. And not only did it shake everything up, and me and Kahim would be at each other's necks in practice. Like whenever we've been up to, we'd be going at it. It was the same thing as like KT and Gat and Darius. I mean, whenever they're in pickup, like we're hanging out right afterwards. So that goes back to like, the team family believe. Like your teammates, you got to believe in one another, but you're also family, right? But keep fast forward, talking about leadership. Of course, Gat. That's that's my dude. Me and him would go play. I was doing it just because I couldn't sleep, I guess, for a little bit. We would go over to the connections, and we'd be out there at like 2 a.m. playing one-on-one, right? One dribble drill, three dribble drill. And then ended up dragging Jesse out there, ended up dragging T-Mod out there. And all of a sudden, we're having just an intense, like this is crazy intense, fouling, throwing each other on the ground, talking shit, all that at 3, 4 a.m. out there, right? And there was times where I didn't even feel like doing it. I was doing it really just to like free my mind at that one night, and Gat ended up coming, right? Now he's hitting me up. Like, let's go. Like, Jesse's hitting us up. Like, y'all going out there again? When y'all going back out there? T-Mod's hitting us up, right? Go back a little bit to T-Mod, T-Mod was super, super, super interesting dude, a baller. And the thing I got most from him, I think he got from Boodle a little bit of just health, like taking care of your body. Like whatever it means, eating good, eating often, ice baths, foot massage. You can get Chia to rub your feet, let her rub your feet, taped up, all that. Like, he kind of put that in my head. Like, you gotta take care of your body. So, long story short, it's just a whole bunch of people trying to show me little things, and that made me look back and kind of think, especially when you're asking me to do this, talk about this and leadership and stuff. For me, I was influenced by everybody. JT Moolah, that's the toughest dude,
Tough.
one of the toughest dudes, a dog. Made me realize that you gotta, you gotta really want it. Like you'll get more rebounds just by wanting it than you will by being more athletic than dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. and stuff like that.
What, so I mean, you played a lot early, especially, after Christmas of your freshman year. And so coming back your sophomore year, you had a good year and you were a leader, uh, from the jump, which was great. You talked about Kahim and Jabari and when they came in and there was an adjustment period. How did you as a leader help them to get adjusted? Because they were obviously really talented, and you three together were one of the best backcourts this league has ever seen. But you helped them adjust a lot.
Mhm.
And how did that look? What goes into helping a guy buy in and figure out the culture, knowing that they're talented and knowing that they're good? Uh, and I know there's a lot that goes into it, but talk about some of that a little bit.
Um, I feel like with them too, especially, but I think with everybody, before you can like push somebody, even if it's not pushing them to be better, it's like push them in the direction of the team so the team can be better, whatever. You really have to like kind of learn people. And Kahim was one of the most peculiar dudes and one of my homies. Like, I'll love him forever.
Yeah.
And it's just off of, I guess I mean, Jabari is not like that. Jabari would probably get along with anybody. He's super, super easygoing, right? And him having such a good relationship with Kahim kind of gave us a little bit of insight of how he is and um, how he communicates and what his little actions mean and what those things mean. And so just kind of learning them guys, like you gotta take the time to like learn them, whether it's on and off the court. And I think the easiest way, like one of the easy ways to do that, for example, this is off the top of my head, I think me and Kahim did this, just sharing music with each other, just figuring out what the other person's listening to.
Yeah.
Like that's always pretty good way to start, maybe. I
It's
don't
an
know.
interesting point about, having to find what makes each guy tick, because as coaches, we
Yeah,
do that, but leaders are doing the same thing that we're doing, and so,
yeah,
you could have a conversation with Jabari in a really different way. But if you do the same thing on the court or off the court with Kahim or anybody else, I'm picking those two just because they were real good players for us.
yeah, and they came in together.
Um, and he may react totally different. It could be a bad reaction. And so having to
Yeah,
find your way with each guy has got to be, it's got to be hard as you're trying to do you and you're trying to get better, but you're also trying to lead this team. Then you got to, get to know these guys and their personality. That it can be easy sometimes.
yeah, and another dude was like that was Gat. Gat was like that. For me, but although he took me on my visit, so I got to know him, right?
Yeah.
So I knew that like that hard foul was him trying to like, you know what I'm saying? He's trying to like get you going. He wants to see if you're gonna foul him back like that or get a bucket next time, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like I got to learn him earlier and sooner. But Kahim had a lot of the same like mindset, man. He was a baller. He's very competitive. That's one thing that stands out. He's very competitive. So even with anybody who's competitive and wants to go hard, at some point, regardless if you're a leader or not, you got to be a leader in practice. If you're just tearing everybody's asses up by just doing what you do, some people bite on, pick
Yeah.
up where you're like kind of pick up the slack or whatever.
For sure. What are some of the stuff off the court? What are some other ways that you felt like you and some of the other leaders, Markel, Gat, I mean, those guys that kind of helped guide people towards buying in or figuring out their role, or when there was adversity, kind of guiding things off the court? Because during practice and stuff, it's one thing, but
Yeah.
there's so much more to it that us coaches can't handle. And that's the sign of a great team is when they have leaders like you that are doing things off the court. What are some of those things that go into it?
I feel like a lot of ways I could have been a better leader off the court, but one thing I feel like I did do, and looking back, I think I did, was put an emphasis on like kind of doing things with like the group, like not excluding anybody, like not making anyone feel like we didn't have many cliques on the team. Like we didn't have a whole bunch of little cliques. Like that's so petty to me. I hate whenever you see a team and they got like 3 people that hang out, and don't mess with other 3 people, and and it just shows. So and along with like hanging out and doing things together and being present when you're doing things together, like being there, interacting and stuff. One thing I remember Markel did a great job of, just like bringing positive energy. Like it was genuine,
Yeah.
super genuine, make you feel good. You know, whether it be seeing you walking past you, walking up the hill, like with a light joke, or just speaking. Like it's never a time where we see each other and don't show each other love. There's, you know,
Yeah,
just making each other feel like good on and off the court.
for sure. Were there times that, that kind of stuff, led to Markel or you or somebody being able to have a tough conversation with the guy because you had that already? Or what kind of helped you get to where you could tell a guy something, even if they didn't want to hear it, but they needed to for the team?
Uh, yeah, that in my opinion is that, and then just going through stuff with people, like being in, like going through those drills and like making it a habit of picking each other up when we're down and stuff. Sometimes a deep conversation, it can be two people can have that conversation, but they just can't because of what's going on around them, or the things they're thinking about. And so I think it was more so seeing each other go through things, kind of, and being a family. Like you see somebody going through some stuff and you're curious about it, and it's on your head. Kind of wait for like the right opportunity to. But yeah, that for sure helps. Just like someone knowing that you're there for them, and gives you opportunity to have those tough conversations that you might, because whenever you're in college, you're not with your family. It's hard to talk to coaches about everything,
For sure.
right?
Yeah. So switching modes on you a little bit, talking about tough conversation a little bit. There's 13 guys on a team, and it may not be everybody's night every night, and there may be some guys that everybody has to fill a role. From you being a player, what were the hardest parts you thought about people figuring out their role and what it took for them to really help the team? Because everybody obviously has a role, from Coach Hooten all the way down to managers. Everybody has a role.
Yeah.
What were the hardest things about buying in that you saw, not just you, but I'm saying in general from your experience, seeing other guys learning and adjusting and growing into the team part of things?
Yeah, I think that it has to do with just being selfish, kind of thinking about yourself. Because I struggle with this too. Everybody does, right? And once you get over um, those selfish thoughts, and you start thinking about the team, putting the team first, um, you'll understand your role more, right? You'll be able to work harder, or work the right way, work smarter, so you can get more playing time. And I guarantee you'll be better. Just like those selfish thoughts we all have. Every human's selfish, and it's getting past that, getting past yourself, kind of, and wanting what's best for the team. And I think once you do that, you realize the importance of your role. It doesn't matter what your role is. Doesn't matter what team you're on. What if you're starting or not starting. Like it's just like you said, everybody has a role, and you can't really see those. You can't really see the importance of it until you kind of take a step out of yourself and what you think you're trying to do, the selfish, personal goals that in quest that you're on, along with like the team quest. Everybody goes to college, and your goal is to get to the next level, and how you do that is this, and this, and you're probably wrong, right? You don't really have a clue. You've never been there, and so once you get out of those things, those like selfish thoughts and those personal goals, not necessarily selfish, sounds bad, but personal goals, and start putting the team's goals first, I think that helps people accept their role on the team and appreciate it.
That's awesome. It's awesome. Really good. Really good. So we played during your time. We actually obviously had great teams, and playing against the team that was our rival SFA, we played some high level basketball games. They were good. We were really good. Um, what what kind of thoughts or tips or things for our new guys that haven't been in that difficult of a game, what did you learn about what matters when it comes to winning those big time games that you were in a lot of, and we won a lot of
Yeah.
against all kinds of teams. You know, what does it come down to in those really big games against really good teams?
I think it comes down to a lot of things. But as for the big games, like people haven't had a chance to play in that big of a game in that big of a moment. Darius told me this when we were playing in Indiana, actually. He was just like, dude, it's just a game. It's the same game you've been playing your whole life, right? Better competition, yeah, but just play your game. Don't get out of body. Stay within yourself. Do what you do, and don't stress about it. Don't think about everything that's going on around you. Focus on what you're doing. Because whenever it's a small crowd or like a little pickup game, you're not worried about the dude who's walking in the gym putting his shoes on, or, you know what I'm saying, the dude who's like doing Snapchat, but you're not worried about, you're worried about, like, you know, getting a bucket on whoever's guarding you, or stopping, you know. So just remember that it's still the same game. Nothing's changed. It's just the same. The ball's still around 10 feet. 3-point lines is, I guess, a couple inches longer, right, or whatever. But it's just the same game. And then the next thing that goes into it, as for like, I guess it plays on like the believing part of that breakdown, the team family belief. It's just putting in the work prior to being in a situation where you need to like go into it, like working hard to get the money before you need the money type deal.
Yeah.
And that's like the things that I feel like gets us over those humps in those big games. And there's games you're not supposed to win them all. Like just because you work your ass off as hard as you can work, you're not going to win them all, right? And so certain games they might be better than you that night. But we all know those games where it's like we could have beat this team if we kind of let one go right here. And I feel like that comes down to not only putting in the work prior to when you need to, you know what I'm saying, count back on it, but taking all your opponents seriously. It's hard to beat a team that's your level of competition when you just, like the night before, the last game, you were playing around with a team and barely beat a team that wasn't as good as you because you just messed around with them, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like we did a good job majority of my years of just not doing that. We didn't play with food. If you're going to get beat by 40, you're going to get beat by 40.
Yeah.
You might have a dude, if some dude puts them up, like anybody can beat you on any given night. That's not what I'm saying. Don't have that cockiness, but treat all your opponents with the same respect. And I feel like that sets you up. Those things are things that set you up to win those games, the still games, right? Win some games you might not supposed to have won, or the games that could have went either way.
For sure. Y'all's mentality. I mean, your junior year, we led the country in point differential. We averaged winning by like 13 points a game.
Yeah.
We were smoking people. And we did it every night. We'd go to HBU and we were supposed to beat them by 30, and we'd beat them by 30. That's one thing I was always impressed with, and I'm glad you said it, because we'd play Paul Quinn and we'd beat him by 80, like we were supposed to, or whatever it was. But you played just as hard as you did the next night against New Orleans or
Exactly.
a big game, because you were trained to it. It was a mentality you guys had. Y'all were hungry. Like, you guys created a culture of being hungry to win at a high level.
No doubt.
And it started with you guys. And that's, we can get it twisted all we want, but it's a players-led mentality of how the team's going to be. Well, Paul, man, this has been awesome. Any open-ended question, any advice you have for our new guys of things to make them be successful, or any tips, because you're one of the giants that the shoulders we're standing on? Any last words for them to help them be successful and keep our tradition going?
Don't be afraid to lead. There's a lot of space for leaders. There's a lot of space for leadership on a team. So you don't be afraid to lead, but also put the work in, right? You never know when your time's gonna be called. You never know when your number's gonna be pulled. So put the work in, and don't be scared of the moment. You'll be just fine. And then trust the guys above you, all the coaches.
You're the best, Paul. Man, I appreciate it. Get back to those awesome kiddos, and
No doubt.
and we'll see you up on campus sometime soon when all this dies down.
Yeah, need to get back up there.
No doubt. No doubt. All right. Thanks, Paul, man. Appreciate your time.
All right, Coach. Appreciate it.